This is the Mikedjkelly podcast.
Mikedjkelly.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Here we go with yet another crazy one big fat pork pie 3 podcasts. When everything else is going up in price, even diesel and petrol will soon be costing more per litre than whiskey. So rubber gloves, diapers, vests, long johns, onesie and hot water bottles strapped on, and we're all set for another cram-packed audio adventure that we lovingly call the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This isn't any ordinary podcast. This is the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
On this week's podcast,
Coming up on the sugar-free Shorter Than Short, tree huggers, train fares, cost of energy, cucumbers, tongue twisters, fireworks, number plates, Joyce the assistant, endless pork pies, charities, competitions, and a whole lot more.
this is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
Going green? Do we need the Red Arrows ace flying team with their multicoloured trails? What's the point? I hear they'll be flying over London to mark the Queen's forthcoming celebrations. Oh gosh, hug a tree, that would be nice. Yes, if you were joining in with Mummy's celebrations, make sure you hug a tree. That would be perfect. It gives you a good feeling hugging trees, and say hello to the flowers. Hello, Mr. Daffodil. Hello, Miss Bluebell. Oh, look, there's a butterfly and a bumblebee. Oh, a Mr. Wiggly Worm.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
So, local elections over, and we're all free to discuss politics in the public arena once again, although I suspect new laws require us to do it silently. Also, while the mainstream media sets the agenda by not reporting what's in the news, it appears the Prime Minister and associates have reformed the electoral system to make sure they cannot be voted out. Mr. Toad said new rules say in future only multi-billionaires, Conservative Club members and Etonians will be allowed to vote.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Luckily for us, Sir Stuart Glover has managed to publish on Twitter the results of the thickest MP poll. The top 5 as follows: 5 Fabricants, 4 Duncan Smith, 3 Patel, 2 Doris, and top spot goes to Gavin Williamson.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
So the 31st of March, and we all went online to input our gas and electric meter readings, only to be met by broken and timing out energy supplier websites. On the news, it blamed money-saving expert Martin Lewis for advising us all to enter our meter readings on the same day. No mention of energy supplier websites not being big enough and strong enough to take the load. Just as a comparison, what if too many people tried to watch a World Cup football match and the system crashed? I don't think so.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
So 800 people sacked by video with no warning by Dubai-based company, but wasn't the Prime Minister in Dubai the day before the announcement? There's a lot to get through in this poddy. Let's start with Homes Under the Hammer and Martin Roberts and Martel Maxwell's, who without a flinch or worry just say get rid of a chimney breast to make more room, or there's no central heating, get some fitted. Surely, if there is a fireplace, you could be burning any old rubbish to keep warm, and long-term wise, is it a good thing to be putting in central heating with the price of gas? And what about a greener world? At this point, we wish Martin Roberts a speedy recovery from his recent illness.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
And talking about saving energy, where I work there are showers in the loos, and I know at least 2 people take their daily showers at work before starting their shifts. Could this become the new way of saving on energy at home by us all showering at work in our lunch breaks? Apparently, libraries, bus stations, train stations are all busier just with people using the buildings to keep warm. Pensioners reportedly sitting on buses all day using their free passes to keep warm. Then there's those who are doubling up with their mates and using one house one day and their mate's house the next to reduce costs. I hate to say it, but microwave baked potatoes might be the way forward, as they use less energy to cook.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Apparently cucumbers are going up in price due to the short supply in the UK, as due to the weather, as many of them are grown in large tented greenhouse areas which are heated by gas. With gas at its current high price, it's not worth heating the greenhouses and growing whatever they grow in them. Swimming baths might be closing due to the high amounts of electricity and gas that they use.
Please note the information provided by the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast is for information purposes only and should not be substituted for any type of professional advice. If you have any concerns, please consult with a qualified person or an adult.
Saw a highway agency message on Twitter on a windy day saying high-sided and vulnerable vehicles should avoid bridges. But what's with this term vulnerable vehicle? What is it? Is it a new make, the VW Vulnerable? Or is it the type of vehicle you'll not be able to go out in next time there's a pandemic lockdown? And my up-to-the-minute road news tells you that a hawk swooped down in front of me on an urban road in Leeds to pick up some dead animal off the road, before doing a Concorde-style takeoff to avoid a collision with my car. Not exactly what you want before breakfast, some dead mammal swinging before you as it heads skybound.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Out there on Twitter, Max Shanley just learnt that the fig trees in Portcullis House are rented and the rent paid since they were first installed totals roughly $750,000. Who the rents trees? David Oslan, the Dutch royal family, will house 30 Ukrainian refugees in one of its spare palaces. Over to you, Windsors. John Woodman, strong showing for Mog in the world's most pompous and self-regarding man competition. Mr. Ethical, fun fact, the queue to cross the channel is longer than the channel itself. Come on, assistant, sorry, I mean Joyce, time to do some tongue twisters. Peter Piper picked a peak of pickled peppers.
She shells by the seashore.
I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream.
A proper coffee pot.
As always, the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast is dipped in chocolate and topped with marshmallows and looking at the evidence based on the science.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
It's competition time and guess the song.
Oh good, I'll do this. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide. No escape from reality. Open your eyes. Look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy, I need no sympathy. Because I'm easy come, easy go. Little high, little low. Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me.
No, that's far too easy. It's competition time and guess the song. Bit of a tricky 1974 #1 hit this time. What song are these lines from? There's nothing to it, just say you want to do it. Open up your heart and let the loving start. Go on then, another verse. Yeah, hold me tight with all your might. Now let your loving flow, real sweet and slow. Name the song or the artiste or both.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Come on, assistant, let's have our own musical quiz. Name a 60s top 10 hit group beginning with the letter A.
Let me think. Archie's Sugar Sugar.
Very good. Arrival, Friends by the River.
Is it Christian or surnames that begin with the letter A?
In the 60s, we'd not got round to first names. It was all very formal, and the answer is surnames.
OK, Charles Aznavour and She May Be a Stranger.
I think you mean Charles Aznavour. My go, Chris Andrews, I'm Her Yesterday Man.
You can say that again.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
As bad as the Ukraine situation is, it's interesting that when they translate Putin's words in the news bulletins, the voice and style of voice is always changing, starting to get a bit along the lines of the Haribo kids' voices for gummy sweets. You know that James Martin Saturday morning TV show where he presents and cooks for guests in his own kitchen at home in front of a big clock on the kitchen wall? Am I correct in observing the clock has no hands? What type of clock is this? Or has it been modified so we're not distracted by it if filming gets out of sequence, or dishes don't take as long to cook as we're told?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
We need some new catchy slogans like "Keep Britain Tidy" and "Let the train take the strain." Why did they change the warnings on the packet from added sugar to free sugars? What does that mean?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Get your special 50th anniversary Mars bar here. Manufactured to the exact 1972 specification. 7 inches long, 1 1/4 inches wide and 3/4 of an inch high, and still made by hand in Slough to the original delicious fusion of chocolate, caramel and nougat recipe. You can work, rest and play and make it last all day with a Mars a day, and this mighty Mars bar celebration edition weighing in at £1 and still costing the same as in 1972, 5 new pence.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Talking of trains, Brian Tweedale on Twitter, I'm old enough to remember the Tories telling me that privatising the rail network would lead to cheaper fares and an improved service. Attached is a graph showing the cost of a journey between 100 and 150 miles. In Poland, £9. In Belgium, £16. In Italy, £16. In France, £29. And in England, London to Bristol, in the UK, £96.50.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
More from Twitter. Seamus. Has an Irishman ever set up a Parisian-style bistro called Sean's Elysee? And if not, why? Kevin Chesters. Germany just cut petrol tax by 25p a litre. France cut it by 12p a litre. Turns out being a member of the EU doesn't stop you addressing the cost of living crisis. In fact, they all seem to be better at it than at Rishi Sunak and his rather feeble 5p a litre. John Trickett, MP. MPs do not work 4 times harder than NHS nurses. A real pay rise for workers is needed. MPs get an extraordinary salary of £82,000. No MPs should have a second job. Economic justice now. Fermi. The Tories stood by and watched British Gas use fire and rehire to blackmail thousands of employees into worse terms, then did a photo shoot with British Gas between employers versus employees. You choose your side, don't get to pretend you care about P&O ferry workers now. Clinically vulnerable. We are concerned that at Tesco have not been clear regarding whether or not staff members should isolate with positive COVID tests if asymptomatic. What is your policy? What are you telling your staff at Tesco? We need to know. Howard Beckett, on the 1st of April, second jobbing MPs will get their £2,200 pay rise as workers get a tax rise. No joke. They're taking us all for fools. Miss Bell, I can't go to school with measles, even though nearly everyone is vaccinated against it. Same for diphtheria, chickenpox. I can't go to school with lice, and lice aren't killing anyone. Why is COVID getting a free pass? And because there's so much of it, it's a ridiculous answer. KVH Studios, International Women's Day. We've been broadcasting a special female artist-only playlist to all at Ann Summers stores since the 5th of March. If you're looking for a more bespoke service that allows a dedicated playlist at different times of the year, get in touch. Prima Seeker, gambling company 888 fined $9.4 million over multiple failings that led to customers racking up huge losses during the COVID pandemic. Nothing will change without prosecution of directors. make them bear personal costs, end gambling advertises. Ian Overton, since the beginning of 2014, the UK has offered asylum to just 30 Ukrainians, but has offered clearance visas to 1,261 Russian oligarchs. John Urquhart, public transport needs to be free at the point of use in order to get anywhere close to a successful defence against the climate crisis.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Today's do-gooders are helpbristolhomeless.org, not just because it's a Bristol thing, but it's something that could be done in many other towns and cities in the UK. Help Bristol's Homeless is a registered charity with a mission to change the face of homelessness in Bristol, and CEO is Jasper H. Thompson. Unlike many homeless charities, our ethos is that housing must come first, and then everything else comes after. Many complex factors can lead to homelessness, and while it's true that these issues need to be resolved to keep people off the street, we believe that the priority must be to get people into safe, stable and comfortable accommodation. From there, we can help them to improve their own lives and reach their potential. Our mission is to change the face of homelessness in Bristol through the support of our trustees, volunteers, supporters, our vision of a gated community of self-contained microflats created from shipping containers, and the amenities needed to support our residents is becoming a reality. We are able to provide temporary accommodation for more than 15 residents until they can move on to a more permanent home. To be inspired or to find out more, head off to helpbristolhomeless.org.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Was it Tony Benn who said something like, "The way a government treats its refugees is very instructive because it shows how they would treat the rest of us if they thought they could get away with it."
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
Fake Showbiz News, FSN. Club Tropicana bosses issue reminder that drinks are only free from Monday to Thursday, and the offer does not include premium cocktails. We appreciate it would have been difficult for Wham to fit this in their song, but it does cause a lot of confusion, a spokesman said. Ellie Goulding brands Specsavers arrogance for branching out into hearing aids is a completely different to I, she fumed. Breaking, Elon Musk reaches $57 billion agreement with Walls to purchase the Veneta brand outright. Ed Sheeran says, does anybody want his Aston Martin DB9 for free? He said the only slight hitch is it's stuck on Amanda Holden as the voice of the sat-nav and no one can switch it off. Jane McDonald says when she went for dinner at Beyonce's and Jay-Z's house recently, she couldn't help but notice how many ring marks there were on tables and units. They clearly have quite a cavalier attitude to drink coasters, she told reporters.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
If you're new to the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast, you can still get to hear all the previous episodes by just searching or shouting the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast. Have you seen these signs? Unattended children will be given an energy drink and taught to swear. On one side of a London bus from Burger King, another Whopper on the side of a bus. Must be an election. This one's doing the rounds on social media. There are two types of Tory supporter, billionaires and idiots. Check your bank statement to see which one you are.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Don't you just love a good story? And this is a good story. Thieving sea lions break into a salmon factory and refuse to leave. That's what's happened in Western Canada, and it was weeks before they left. Have you tried asking for a receipt when you purchase something in a shop these days? Lots of places now say you can only have one by handing over your email address for them to send it to. Are you celebrating this year? A birthday, a wedding, an engagement? Well, do it in style with the new Acme LL1 LED fireworks. Yes, these solar-powered LED fireworks give a great colourful display all around you and look just like real fireworks and can be programmed from an app on your phone. It displays like traditional fireworks, Roman candles, fountains, Catherine wheels, confetti, mine, cake, barrage and sparklers. You can hear the fizzes, pops and bangs of the fireworks by listening on the 3-to-use downloadable app. To complete your purchase, why not get the Acme LL2 laser firework display, which gives the effect of your fireworks flying around and giving displays in the sky. No risk of fire, injuries, upset animals, and they're environmentally friendly, setting the new standard in fireworks and making every day easier. It's the Acme LED laser firework display. Make sure you get yours in time for bonfire night or your New Year's Eve celebrations. Order now.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
What's this? Norman Tebbit in the Telegraph saying too many people in politics are rather poor material.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Just thinking, it's been a while since I've seen a red bucket full of sand with the word fire on it. Where did they all go? Likewise, it's been a while since we had a spy story in the news. Then, as if by magic, David Smith, 57, a former security guard at the British Embassy in Berlin, has been charged with spying for the Russian state.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Okay, time to cheer ourselves up by looking at what's on offer in those fabulous voucher emails this week. 6 sessions of laser hair removal treatment, 10 fitness boot camp sessions, movie car driving experience, Yummy Mummy's bundle box, Alice in Wonderland immersive cocktail experience for 2, Marco Pierre White afternoon tea for 2 at 16 locations. Spreads himself about, doesn't he? The Masked Singer live UK tour, Mecha Bingo comedy night, dining, drinks and bingo for 1 or 2. 45-foot transporter truck driving experience, learn singing with Alfie Bow, online singing class, 160-foot bungee jump, rechargeable vibrating male masturbator, 18 modes.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Guess the celebrity. Born 10th of May 1968, he is an English comedian, actor, musician and writer. His comedy is often hard-edged social and political satire. In 2003, he was listed in The Observer as one of the 50th funniest acts in British comedy. And in 2007, he was voted the 16th greatest stand-up comic on Channel 4's 100 Greatest Stand-Ups. He was born in Buckinghamshire, where his father worked for British Rail. After graduating from Oxford University, his comedy career began by working with Harry Hill for BBC Radio 4. He regularly performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival before launching his pub Landlord. He continues to perform as a stand-up and is a regular on British TV and radio. Who is he?
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Let's do a few TV bits. BBC removing insensitive and politically incorrect jokes from old editions of Steptoe and Son, Dad's Army, etc. A lot say it's wrong to do this as they will no longer show what life was like in those eras. Love Ian Hyland, the Daily Mirror's TV critic, reviews for Piers Morgan's new Talk TV cable show. The Sun and The Times, owned by the same company as Talk TV, absolutely loved it. The Guardian, a Jeremy Clarkson tribute act. The Telegraph, it was better than GB News. The Herald, 2 fat blokes having a sweating competition. What's that Right Move TV advert with the scarecrow about? You'd think by now they would have invented a TV that can opt out and do something else while the adverts are on. I don't know what. Show the news headlines, show the weather forecast, show a blank screen, but get rid of the bloody adverts.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mikedjkelly podcast.
Joyce, anything from you?
I hear that in Sri Lanka, Raja, the most sacred elephant, has died aged 68 and has had a state funeral.
New tougher number plates are coming that are more resistant to debris such as road salt and dirt. I didn't know there was a problem. I've never had to replace a number plate because it's worn out. Have you? New number plate regulations mean personalised number plates will no longer be allowed, and all vehicles must have numerical and letter style number plates as issued. Number plates such as Pen 15, Penis, M155, YOU, Miss You, ORG 45M, Orgasm, and UT02SER, you tossers will no longer be allowed to show off and waste your money in this way anymore.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Prince Andrew dealt another blow as the City of York revoked his honorary freedom of the city. Don't forget, pod pickers, if you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show, please use the following to contact us. And if you have any stories, gossip, jokes or anything for the next episode, email hello@mikedjkelly.co.uk, on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. If you have time, it'd be appreciated if you could give us a review on any of the usual feedback sites.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
Final burst from Twitter. Dr. Julia Grace, could I have 1 minute of your time? There are 8,200 doctor vacancies in England alone, yet 791 medical graduates are not being offered NHS jobs. They've been put on a reserve list. Our patients plus staff need support. Please demand action. Dr. Paul Jepson, many colleagues share this view. Dress however you want. Call yourself whatever you want. We won't judge. But please think very carefully before taking hormones or having surgery. It's risky and it might not be the answer you're looking for. Amelia, I can't stop laughing. Netflix is using Bradford to film post-Soviet Russia scenes for The Crown. Paul Trainer, an average-sized cruise ship with 3,000 passengers and crew, produces 30,000 gallons of sewerage every day and 255,000 gallons of dirty water from showers, sinks, laundries and dishwashers. This waste not only carries bacteria and viruses that are harmful to human health. BBC Radio York, Filey, paraglider breaks man's nose in cliff-top crash. Bob Morgan, voting Tory, probably does the same to life expectancy of low-income folks as smoking 20 cigarettes a day. Girl on the Hill, if you sneeze and fart at the same time, does your body take a screenshot? Dr. John, many years ago my boss investigated the first outbreak of Legionnaire's disease caused by a whirlpool in a hotel in the UK. He calculated the volume of water, person soup he called it, and the number of customers. It was equivalent to 600 people using the same domestic bath.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mikedjkelly.
If you want to get in touch with this top-rated and sometimes much listened to podcast, please contact email hello@mikedjkelly.co.uk, on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. Indeed, if you want podcast making for your business or need any help with radio producer or presentation, travel news, voiceover work, please get in touch. Please tell your friends about the podcast. All they need to do to find it is search on Google for the Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast. Okay, it's time to go. Guess the song. What song are these lines from? There's nothing to it. Just say you want to do it, open up your heart and let the loving start. Go on then, another verse. Yeah, hold me tight with all your might. Now let your loving flow, real sweet and slow. And the chorus line, woman, take me in your arms, rock your baby. Woman, take me in your arms, rock your baby. Name the song or the artiste. It was George McRae and Rock Your Baby. Guess the celebrity, born the 10th of May 1968. He is an English comedian, actor, musician and writer. His comedy is often hard-edged social and political satire. In 2003, he was listed in The Observer as one of the funniest acts in British comedy And in 2007, he was voted the 16th greatest stand-up comic on Channel 4's 100 Greatest Stand-Ups. He was born in Buckinghamshire, where his father worked for British Rail. After graduating from Oxford University, his comedy career began by working with Harry Hill for BBC Radio 4. He regularly performed at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival before launching his pub Landlord. He continues to perform as a stand-up and is a regular on British TV and radio. Who is he? He is Alistair James Hay Murray, or to you and me, Al Murray. Tired and exhausted from working too many hours a day? You need to slow down and relax with Babbling Bubbles Befuddling Potion. Made with traditional fresh, hand-picked French garden-reared Cornea aspersion terrestrial mollusks. This potion will slow your body's metabolism down to the same rate as a snail, helping you feel more relaxed. Metabolism is the process by which your body converts what you eat and drink into energy. This complex process is helped by taking the Babbling Bubbles Befuddling Potion. It helps calories in food and beverages to be combined with oxygen and to release the energy your body needs to function. To get your triple BP Babbling Bubbles Befuddling Potion, race to smoothpromotions.org to place your order.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Guess what? That's enough for this edition of the crazy Shorter Than Short Shabba podcast show. From me, Mike Kelly.
And from me, Joyce, the assistant.
Thank you for listening. Please take care out there. And remember, you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting Mikedjkelly Shorter Than Short podcast show.
This is the Mike Kelly podcast.
Mike Kelly.